guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Socialography YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a look at 5 of the worst marketing fails of all time, aka what I could find on the internet. But before we get started, if you're a fan of cringeworthy marketing content, or you want to learn what you should do in addition to what you shouldn't do when it comes to marketing, then you've come to the right place. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the like button, and then let them know that you'll be sticking around by hitting the subscribe button while you're down there. Alright, let's get into today's top 5 fails.
I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one to try.
Today's top 5 fails are all tech products that failed so miserably they either put the company out of business for good, or they did nothing more than contribute to the already growing tech pollution problem. Today's first fail is proof that every success story starts with at least one flop, if not many. In 1983, after 5 years and over $50 million invested in this product, Apple unveiled its newest product, the Apple Lisa. What was supposed to be the next big thing in the desktop business computer market. The big gray box of a computer had many innovative features for the time, including a graphical user interface, or GUI, that would allow the user to, get this, point and click with a brand new tool called a computer mouse. This functionality would allow users to point and click at an icon on the desktop instead of having to type text commands. The computer also featured 2 floppy disk drives. But over the next 3 years, Apple would only sell 10,000 units of the Apple Lisa before eventually discontinuing production. So, why did this masterpiece of innovation fail, you ask? Well, a few reasons. First of all, the computer was priced at $9,995, which equates to about $24,000 in today's money, which was a price a lot of businesses couldn't afford for just one computer. Also, apparently it was super heavy and bulky and clunky, and so was the software that it used, so it actually didn't run all that great and was very unreliable. So, like 3 strikes, you're out. But all was not lost, because shortly before the release of the Apple Lisa, Steve Jobs was actually removed from the project by Apple's CEO, John Sculley, and was moved over to a new project, the Macintosh. And as we now know, that one did okay. It's sold a few units over the years.
We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
I belong to you.
5 years after the release of the first iPod, Microsoft decided it was finally time to dip their toe in the portable media player market, and in 2006, the Microsoft Zune was introduced to the market. Shortly after, in 2009, the Zune HD was launched, and by 2011, the Zune was completely discontinued. So what went wrong? To start, Microsoft was a little late to the party, and by a little late, I mean 5 years, because by 2006, Apple had pretty much cornered the portable MP3 market and had 5 years of product research and development, customer feedback, and innovations under their belt. But Microsoft came onto the scene and was like, introducing the newest innovation in portable MP3 players since before the iPod. Just pretend like that never happened. And look at the Zune. It's a Zune. Fun to say. It's more fun to say than iPod. They got that going for them. Also, they made no effort to make any innovations or improvements on the iPod. So the product that they released was no better than the Apple iPod that already had no like and trust in the market with its customers. And it was actually worse than the iPod. And on December 31st, 2008, things got a lot worse when Zunes all over the country started freezing up, rebooting themselves automatically, and then shutting off, essentially bricking themselves. Very shortly after, Microsoft updated their customer service website with a statement that read, "Customers with the 30GB Zune devices may experience issues when booting their Zune hardware. We're aware of the problem and are working to correct it. Sorry for the inconvenience and thanks for your patience." Eventually, they were able to identify the problem and fix it. So what was causing everyone's Zune to turn into a brick all of a sudden? Well, back in September of 2008, Microsoft released a firmware update for the Zune devices. But unfortunately, one of the programmers forgot to account for the fact that 2008 was a leap year. Oops. Microsoft said that they fully expected the devices to start working again on January 1st, 2009, and they asked their users to basically give it 24 hours and just pretend like they didn't have a Zune. But definitely don't go out and buy an iPod during that time, because by tomorrow, everything will be up and working again. Great. Innovation. Now, I'm assuming that after that, the complete lack of trust from customers in the devices and also the Apple iPod and iPhone were the cause of the eventual death of the Microsoft Zune. So I can't really find too much about the official launch of this next product, but let's just say that sometime around 2011, the iFloat made a splash, see what I did there, in the cell phone market when it launched the first ever mobile phone that could float on water. It was also water resistant up to 1 meter for about 30 minutes. But why would it need to be water resistant up to 1 meter if it could just float, you ask? Well, I'm not sure. I couldn't really find the answer to that question. If it could just float, then why would it need to be water resistant? But anyways, a floating cell phone sounds cool, doesn't it? I wonder why I can't find it for sale anywhere. In 2016, Juicero, the Silicon Valley juicer startup, was riding high. They had just managed to raise $120 million from investors and were making headlines as the newest innovation in the health food market. But just 16 months later, the company would announce it was shutting down. Now, Juicero offered pre-sold packets of diced fruit and vegetables that you plugged into a $400 machine that would then squeeze the packets and give you freshly pressed juice. Kind of like a single-serve coffee maker, but not really coffee and not really like that at all, because shortly after the product hit the market, people started to discover that you could actually create the juice from the packets using your hands. And not only that, it actually turned out that just using your hands was actually more effective and faster than using the $400 machine.
What is this?
It's a Juicero.
How does it work?
No idea.
Now, this must have come as quite the embarrassment to the company's founder, Doug Evans, who had previously compared himself to Steve Jobs and was boasting about the fact that the machines applied an unheard of 4 tons of pressure to the juice packets in order to get the results. And then when video surfaced of people getting the same results using their hands, he said that the machines had internet connection and that they would help prevent users from using expired juice packets. But the problem was that the juice packets just had the expiration date written on them, so I don't know what internet connection had to do with that, but nice try. Now, when I was researching this particular product, I came across an article on The Guardian that I think summed this situation up perfectly. Quote, "Juicero has become something of a symbol of the absurd Silicon Valley startup industry that raises huge sums of money for solutions to non-problems. Some also criticize Juicero and other food tech firms as male entrepreneurs in effect are rebranding what women have done for decades." Yeah, pay $400 for this squeezy machine. Don't use your hands or a blender. In 2016, Mel and Dee DeCasa were enjoying what otherwise would have been a normal day hanging out at the house. Dee was just in her room, checking emails and surfing the web on her phone when all of a sudden it began to spark in her hands. She then said, quote, "The thing just popped and smoke started coming out." Dee then ran to her husband Mel, who was just relaxing on the couch, and he said the phone looked like a small firecracker about to go off. He said it was definitely sizzling and smoke was just shooting out of it. Now, luckily the couple was able to put out the phone and neither of them sustained any injuries. The cell phone that Dee was using, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, also known as the exploding phone. To make matters worse, Dee was actually using a replacement phone because Samsung had already issued 2 recalls on previous versions of the phone. So this particular unit was the replacement and it still caught fire. Now, shortly after the security camera footage of the DeCosta's phone smoking went viral, Samsung completely halted production of the Galaxy Note 7. And then in January of 2017, Samsung announced that they had determined what the issue was that was causing their phones to explode and catch fire. Turns out it was 2 separate problems with lithium-ion batteries that the phones used, and they had actually gone through 2 different types of batteries from 2 different companies, and each of them had separate issues causing the phones to spark and catch fire. And because a similar incident occurred on an airplane mid-flight, could you imagine? I would be freaking terrified. Passengers were prohibited from flying with a Galaxy Note 7, and eventually lithium-ion batteries would be banned as cargo on passenger flights. Now, this whole incident was probably the worst product fail in Samsung's history, and it apparently cost the company more than 1/3 of their quarterly earnings during the July through September quarter as compared to the same quarter in the previous year, resulting in a loss of billions of dollars. All right, so that's going to do it for today's top 5 fails. Which one did you find the most cringeworthy, or have you come across any cringeworthy marketing fails that you think I should include in my next video? If so, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or feel free to connect with me on social media and let me know there. If I include your recommendation in one of my videos, I will definitely give you a shout out. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to introduce yourself to the like button. Let them know that you'll be sticking around by hitting the subscribe button before you leave. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye!